Utah, give me 2.
That hawk and spit on that thing. You get me?
Welcome, everybody, to our Palazzo Podcast mock draft. Version 2, as if Robbie and I are doing it. I mean, ladies, if you came for the guns, you should check out if you're on the YouTube, you're already seeing the sexiness that is Robbie's pose on the background of our video. This is high quality stuff, folks. But my name is Benjamin Chase, Big Gentle Ben on all the socials. You can find my man Robbie Baseball and Robbie Baseball numero uno, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I got Robbie
say,
Baseball in my title. I got Robbie Baseball, 2 B's, 2 E's, 2 A's, and 2 L's. But it's several L's. Things have not been going the most bestest for me the last 2 weeks and some fantasy things. We'll get into it tonight. Off the hop. So like Ben introed, we are going to get to our mock draft. We're going to treat it like each team, we immediately become the GM, the president, the whoever is in charge of making the pick. That's what we're going to do tonight. And we have a special way that we're going to figure out who gets to have odds or evens. And before that, we're going to get to some fun, exciting things. So, Ben, prior to diving into actual fantasy baseball stuff, what's going on in your life?
Well, next week, my family and I are heading out to the Black Hills of South Dakota for a family camp. And
nice.
So we're going to be in a cabin out in the Black Hills for a weekend. There's a little bit of touristy things we can do in the afternoons, but more than anything, my kids get to ride around on horses and just kind of be out and with Mother Nature out in the hills. And I'm looking forward to it just for a week away from life, you know?
Yeah, that sounds lovely. I am having somewhat of an impromptu getaway. I am heading to America on Wednesday. It's slow at work. I got vacation days, and I am going to Iola, Wisconsin. And can you guess, dude? Can you guess what I'm doing there?
I'm probably getting drunk because it's Wisconsin. So
there's a car show. There's a car show. And one of my biggest inspirations for doing all my vehicle work is this guy named Derek Bieri, or Vice Grip Garage. Check him out on YouTube. Subscribe to him. Also, don't forget to subscribe to us. We are on the march to 1,000, and we are picking up steam. We're gonna have to maybe raise it to if we're not at 850 by next week when it gets around. I'm gonna sum up my entire trip around the Iola car show because it's a show. Genius. It's a swap meet. There's a meet and greet. Henry Winkler is going to be there. The Fawns, everybody. So I'm hoping that it's going to be an excellent trip. On my way, though, Ben, I'm leaving Wednesday morning bright and early from here in Canada. I'm driving through Michigan into Indiana, right through. Oh, DJ Adarsh, good evening. I'm driving right through Chicago, and I'm going to Milwaukee because the Pirates are in town, and I'm going to take in a Pirates Brewers game at Miller. Yes, okay. That's right. Out of Rhythm Fantasy, Vice Grip Garage, baby. You wear the merch? I wear the merch too. And I'm going to be buying a bunch of it. But also, after that first game Wednesday night, I'm going to continue driving up to Iola, which I'll get there. I don't even know when. The plan's to sleep in the back of my vehicle. And then the next day, I'm going to the swap meet bright and early. Check out the car show, meet Derek. I got to give him a letter because I'm organizer of Mopar Fest here in New Hamburg, Ontario. And I want him one day to come to the show. So it's a little bit of business, but a lot of pleasure. And I'm just a volunteer at this. There's no financial benefit for me. On the way back, though, Ben, Friday night, I am going to check out what is it? I gotta get the name right here. Oh, no. I had it queued up before and I closed it. Let's see. Trip. I am going on Friday night to Beloit, Wisconsin, and I am Beloit. Yep. I am checking out some A-ball, the Twins, what are they called? The Colonels?
The Cedar Rapids Colonels. Yep.
Cedar Rapids Colonels, thank you, are taking on the Beloit Sky Carp, which is a goose logo, which is hilarious. And better than that, is on Friday night. They are doing one of the most minor league things you can imagine. They had a fan vote for the team name, and that's when they went with Skycarp. The runner-up was Supper Club. They were going to be the Beloit Supper Clubs, and they're doing a Supper Clubs jersey night. So I'm going to go and see what cool stuff I can pick up from that, and that is on Friday night. And then Saturday, Michael Govey and I have a special date in Detroit where we are going to take in a Tigers game against the Dodgers at 1 o'clock something. I'm getting tons of baseball. I'm getting car truck stuff. It's just going to be an excellent time. And it sounds like you're going to have a far more relaxing time. And next week we can, and you're gone next week, but we can discuss your vacation the following week when we get back. So looks like we both have lots of fun stuff coming up. So good for us. Good.
Yes, There we go. And just before we get too deep into our intro stuff here, Adam's curious if we're doing the Group A picks. Adam, we are going to do everything up to the first pick of round 2. So
38, right? So we got 38,
39. 39 of them. So all the way through all the comp picks, the prospect promotion picks, all that good stuff. So all the way through those.
Yep. And we're going to move into news here at 6 minutes and 40 seconds. I just like to say it out loud, and we're on.
So there have actually been some fairly interesting ones, and then one of them actually pitched today and looked way better than I thought he would. Another one's going to pitch tonight, but I think really if you're going to talk about guys who've been promoted, the guy who's been a stud so far has been Brooks Lee. I mean, he came in, stepped into Royce Lewis's spot, and holy buckets, he's just been hitting. I mean, if you happen to have had him on your roster and you could plug him in, you've been a very happy person to this point. Now, granted, not a lot as far as, he's not going to ever give you a whole lot of home run power or steals, but he's a really consistent contact guy, sprays the gaps, he's getting on base, and right now that Twins lineup is hot enough to where they're driving him in too, so runs RBI for you. Gotta love that. Really nice, fun guy to come up. Whole bunch of other pitchers, and that's kind of this time of year, they're kind of stretching out their big league staffs, so you're seeing guys like Yilbert Diaz, who's going to be pitching tonight for the Diamondbacks. What I'll tell you there is it's a 2-pitch guy that has 2 pitches. I'm not really, I really like his 2 pitches, but I think he is a guy who in the end is a swingman type until he can figure out how to consistently get that 3rd pitch. So this might not be a guy who's long for the rotation right now, but while he's up, those 2 pitches are going to generate a lot of whiffs. So it could be a good strikeout guy for your fantasy teams. Just Waski.
Well, I was just going to say, Ben, and you never know a guy like this, Diaz, if he's able to induce some weak contact, and all of a sudden he's looking fictitiously good. So if there's a chance you have him or can grab him, and he happens to have 2 starts, and one of them might be quality, as Ben is suggesting here, you might want to look at maybe a quick pickup and sell on Diaz, because the stuff doesn't look like it'll stick around at a high level.
So somebody just mentioned in the chat, Reese Hines went 450 in cores. Reese Hines is one I did not have on this list, but that's an interesting one only because they're playing against Colorado this week in Cincy, which is going to give you that really wonderful Cincinnati home ballpark for really what the one thing Hines does well is he hits the ball really freaking hard and strikes out a lot, but real nice landing. And I mentioned this in our Discord. So if you folks check out the Discord, our Palazzo podcast Discord, lots of great info in there, but we were talking about Hines today. I said, there's a real good chance here. You could see something like an Aristides Aquino start to his career, where he jumps out. He's got a lot of power, but he's striking out. You can kind of see that the other hand is coming. You just don't know when, and it might be 20 home runs deep like it was with Aquino before we finally saw that. So
And that's after an excellent 7 innings from Ryan Feltner. It's only 3-zip in that game with that Hines home run. So I did start Feltner this week because Colorado pushed him an extra day to give him a 2-start week this week. So in the 2 leagues I do roster him, I put him in because he's okay, like not outstanding, but okay. And he had a good start tonight. So yeah, interesting. Abbott as well, 7 innings pitched, 8 Ks. So interesting one there. But yeah, sorry. So I interrupted you at Justin
Wroblewski. Dodgers guy. I think this is an extra arm for them, and something they've gotten really good at over the last 3-4 years is just they'll bring in a guy, have him make 2-3 starts. If he shows he's worth keeping around, they keep him around. If not, he's stretching out, giving everyone extra days. And I mean, something to think about. Tyler Glasnow has never pitched this many innings. He's almost already at that point where he has crossed a career threshold. So they're going to do a lot of things like the Braves have been doing so far this year with guys like Lopez and Sale. They're going to be doing a lot of 6-man rotations, a lot of skipping a day, things like that. So, hey, it's Mike VA asking us how the heck we are. Hi, Mike.
Good evening.
Apparently, he wants to let you know that Yariel Rodriguez is coming. Oh, wait.
Sure.
He's already arrived.
Yeah. I had the casual Blue Jay fans talking to me today about his performance over the weekend. Yeah. And I just kind of did let's just hold on a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was against Seattle, but Seattle has not been this most explosive team ever. They've been a pitching heavy team this year. Let's wait to see what happens when he gets outside up against some tough competition. I'm not buying it. I hate being the negative guy. And Mike, you said something about me going against my Toronto guy. I'm not a Toronto guy. I'm geographically located in a poor spot as a fan because I get inundated with Blue Jay talk. But I don't like how the organization runs. So I have made myself an official free agent. I tried to sign on with the Rockies, but they didn't take me. I've been looking at organizations, so maybe I'll find one on my trip. Maybe I'll come back as a Pirate or Brewers or Dodgers or Tigers fan. We know for sure it wouldn't be Red Sox. F the Red Sox. And I mean, honestly, Mike, F your Orioles too. Why not? I mean, just but anyway, yeah, everyone that we got a sound effect for, I'll just say that
I think I hit all of them. So
yeah, okay, perfect. But anyway, all right, let's get back to the prospect promotions. Then we can get back to the wily veterans who have been.
Speaking of your Blue Jays, Leo Jimenez came up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I guess I thought he was going to be up like 3 years ago. So I'm kind of at the point where it's like, well, finally.
Hey, look, he's there.
But, yeah, and I don't know that he solves a lot of problems for the Blue Jays, but he doesn't hurt them, I guess. I don't know how you want to put that best.
Yeah, he's on the roster. I'll leave it at that. I mean, they got enough issues they're dealing with back of their bullpen. Spencer Horowitz really helping. So yeah, Britton, thank you for noticing. So this, my friends, just to get off topic again, this is Bailey's with ice and some chocolate milk in it. Ben, we have the LCBO here in Ontario, the Liquor Control Board of Ontario. Their workers went on strike. So you cannot find hard liquor easily in this province anymore. So again, perfect time to leave the province and go to America where I can go and get alcohol.
Oh, and you're going to Wisconsin. Is there any any better place to find liquor than Wisconsin? I mean,
I'll be getting some of that, whatever that beer was, that the cheap
Spotted Cow.
Beer. No,
but you
hams.
do need to get some spotted. You need to get some Spotted Cow while you are in.
If anybody else has beverages I need to pick up while I'm out there, pop it into the chat. We can throw it up. But yeah, so LCBO's on strike, so it's hard to get it. So that's why I was like, I'll just get Bailey's tonight. I'll just get some little Bailey's tonight. And the cheap version of Bailey's is Carolyn's. And that stuff's like half the price and just as good. So I'll be bringing a lot of that back with me. So they are Britain. The Toronto fan base is casual. There are very few diehard guys because everyone regurgitates the same information from the Fan 590 radio station owned by Rogers, who owns the team, and Rogers Sportsnet, who, of course, it's in the name. They own the team. So it's hard to get unbiased information. And if you're outside the circle like I am, and you're not a fan of what's going on, you don't really have a voice because those stations don't want to put you on. And believe me, I've tried. I've tried. So let's get back to some promotions of minor leaguers because I'm so excited
we had
for guys returning.
A lot of guys come up and get some starts. Shane Baz came up. We knew he was going to eventually be up, but he looked good. 6 innings strong. I mean, that's you wanted to see that. If you wanted to see that he was going to give you innings, that's a big deal. Tanner Gordon, former Braves prospect, got traded to the Rockies and made a spot start, but he actually went longer than I thought. And then Christian Mena was up for a start and back down already. Diamondbacks need arms badly, so that's kind of where we're at with that. Interesting one, though, to me, and he had a big night tonight, Kiter Montero with the Tigers. And here's what he did today against the Cleveland Guardians. 6 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts, 0 runs, and only 73 pitches.
Wow. Impressive.
Yeah. That's 70,
Maddox.
6 1/3 on 73 is freaking impressive. Not a single extra base hit the entire game for Tigers pitching allowed. Granted, it is Cleveland. It's not like they're an extra base hitting machine here, but that's pretty damned impressive. So, then you add in one other arm to kind of get to mention, Yerlin Susana. We're talking about James Wood. We're talking about all these guys from that trade, CJ Abrams, Mackenzie Gore, that came over to Washington in the Juan Soto deal. This is that last piece that was kind of their throw in high upside. Frankly, coming from a guy who lived in the upper Midwest when the deal happened, this is their Francisco Liriano portion of the deal. If you guys remember when the Twins traded AJ Pierzynski, hello, Cat. When the Twins traded AJ Pierzynski to San Francisco, they got a guy who was just converting to pitching in Joe Nathan. They got Boof Bonser, which is still one of the greatest ever names in the history of baseball. And then they got this kind of rookie ball pitcher that was kind of a flyer guy in Francisco Liriano, and he turns into the gem of that deal. Well, okay, I mean, Joe Nathan was an elite closer for quite a while. So, I mean, 2 pretty good pieces in that deal. But
heck of a trade.
Heck of a trade. But that's kind of the third piece there. That's kind of where everyone kind of thought, Susana is going to be that last piece, that flyer guy, and he can throw 100. Let's see if he can do other things. Yeah, he started out rough. He's gotten it together, and now he's headed to AA. So, on the right track.
He was so popular 2 years ago, Ben. Everybody was picking him up like he was going to be, the next Randy Johnson because he started well. Like it was
bad timing. Poor Joe. Joe walks in as I'm talking about Giants trades where they got fleeced. Yeah, and then Carlos Beltran, anyone. Oh.
Yeah. That's another unfortunate one there. So I think that was it for the prospects. And you did mention a couple of, veteran. I mean, Boz is technically still a rookie, or at least was prior to the start. I don't know what his career total is. Doesn't matter. In more exciting news, just for anybody who cared, my cat came up. That cat wandered into our garage right before Valentine's Day. Turned out she was pregnant. And ended up getting, it was a whole thing. So we called her Valentine because she came around Valentine's, and then she broke our bank. But she accidentally got in the basement when I started recording, and I just heard her meowing. So I figured I'd let her in. At some point, my wife will realize she's missing, and she'll come down to get her. But she's back behind the bars here in the murder room. But anyway, speaking of murdering, Chris Bubic is back, or Bubich, depending on how you want to say it. This is one of my KC Big Six from like 2021, where I thought they had their whole rotation. Yeah, I thought they had their whole rotation getting it together. Well, anyway, he's back from Tommy John surgery. He's going to be out of the bullpen this year, which is great because he's back, and that's important. Casey's doing well, so they don't need to do anything with him other than have him on the team. Daniel Lynch certainly doesn't seem to be able to get it together at AAA, and they're throwing him up whenever they absolutely have to, but he's going right back down. Maybe Bubich will be able to stick around and serve a purpose. Geez, Val, is she down here hunting mice or something, I hope. More importantly than Bubic, which I mean, that's telling you how important it is. Keston Hiura is back, and he's with the Angels, and he's there. I don't know what to say. Like we'll see what he does. Like, speaking of a Reese Hines, Aquino type, that's what Keston Hiura has sadly become a poor man's version of now. We'll see if he can just slap the ball around a little bit more, or if he's only going to try to sell up home runs.
So he hit second his first 2 games up. Now here is your Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim starting lineup today, behind Davis Daniel, who we like to some degree. You finally have Anthony Rendon back. He's leading off.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nolan Shinwell batting second.
Yep.
Kevin PR, which, based on performance, that makes sense. Keston freaking Hiura is cleaning up. And then Logan O'Hoppe, Brandon Drury, Mickey Moniak, Joe Adell, it just kind of goes down. Luis Guillorme. But, God, that team is terrible. Like, that is that's not a good team. When the guy can come up after basically being completely off of the Major League radar for multiple years and hit second 2 games in a row and now hit cleanup. Yeah.
Hey,
that tells you all you need to know.
Good to be back. Now, did you mention Matt Wallner, or was that just in some chats that we talked about him?
Yeah, I think we just chatted about him, but Wallner's back up. Wallner, oddly enough, the Twins, which oddly enough to me, because I think Larnach is the better defender. Larnach is playing or is at DH tonight, and Wallner is in left field. But they have the ability to really go strong against a right-handed starter with Max Kepler, who's also a big-time lefty swinger. And so, that so far tonight, that those lefties have really hit Chris Flexen well. Larnach's got a home run. Wallner and Kepler both have doubles. But I really think that this is a promotion in order to trade one of the 2 of them.
Yeah,
I think
which
Wallner,
we've been talking about. Yeah,
Wallner or Larnach, I think they're going to be bait for a trade, and the Twins are apparently pretty active right now in the trade market. There's some different discussions out there as far as what they're looking for, but this would make a lot of sense as a guy that people could potentially utilize. So,
yeah. Now, earlier I said I was going to Milwaukee to watch the Pirates play, Ben. There's an extra little piece that's making that trip even sweeter. Yeah, exactly, Joe. How could Ohtani not re-sign with an Angels lineup like that? It's like he knew. It's like he knew. So Britain saying Valentine, my cat walking around the murder room like Ashley Judd trying to escape the kiss the girls bunker. Okay. All right. My wife did come and get her, so she's upstairs. Okay. So it's all safe. It's all safe. I just assumed her meowing was going to get picked up, so didn't want to get in trouble from the boss on that one. But anyway, Ben, back to the Pirates being in town. There is a prediction that I've been making that is slowly coming to fruition here. Brent Honeywell Jr. Hello.
Yeah. And
get ready. Second half closer, people.
But here's what I don't get. He came up after Jared Jones goes on the DL, not after they trade their closer. So, I mean, are they just getting him integrated into the lineup or into the bullpen so he gets to know everyone? Or
I think he just wanted Jones's number. So they were like, you're up, you're coming up, honey. And he's like, well, not if I don't have the number I want. Anyway, yeah, it's just good to see he's coming up. I can't remember. I originally thought when I looked, so Adam's just asking, will Skeens start the All-Star game? Great question. I thought Skeens was actually starting on Wednesday, so I was super pumped to go to the game thinking I'm going to get to see Skeens pitch. Yeah. And how cool would it be? I don't care about the Brewers starter, but no, it's not Skeens. I'm getting what's his nuts, Crafty Perez, former Ranger. That's who I'm going to get to. But anyway,
Martin.
Thank you, Martin. Yeah. So Honeywell is up, and that's exciting. Ben, we've got the question here. Does Michael Mercado show that the Rays development maybe is not so great? Sunday start versus the Braves notwithstanding. I've always been against people talking about the Rays being amazing at developing. They seem to be good at identifying talent, not necessarily developing it. And their pitching savvy that so many people like to give them credit for. All their pitchers seemingly that they've been really excited about, or people have been really excited about, are guys who have had long-term injuries, Tommy Johns and whatnot, that have come back and had short periods of success. Glasnow is now like doing it a second time, and they traded him away. So they're going to be fully credited for that Glasnow trade, that excellent trade that they made with the Pirates years and years ago. But Austin Meadows just kind of dissolved, off the field things going on with him. And beyond. But like I've always looked at when the Rays trade for somebody, I'm interested. When the Rays draft someone, less so. The J2 stuff, they've had hype guys. Wander Franco clearly was like overhyped the whole time. Not that he couldn't have got it together, but now he's out of baseball, and that's its own separate thing. But they just haven't been able to really like develop a bunch of players that have had sustainable MLB careers that you can kind of be like, oh yeah, that has been good. They just are given a lot of credit when guys do well, and they're consistently, until this year, given credit for overachieving. But they haven't been able to sustain, in my opinion.
And I guess the reason I put that on there is just Mercado is a guy who I don't know that he had a whole lot of prospect pedigree at draft time. I mean, he was a second round draft pick out of high school, but by the time, he ends up having Tommy John, misses 2019 and 2020, which, everyone missed 2020, but still, then he comes back and he's a 5 ERA guy. He was basically a 5 ERA guy and high 4s ERA guy all through the system with the Rays. Then he ends up going to the Phillies, and they go, hey, that two-seamer you have? We're going to work that with your slider, and we're going to have you use a two-seamer at the top of the zone and your slider at the bottom of the zone, and nobody's going to be able to hit the ball out on you because you got this heavy fastball at the top that all people are going to be able to do is pop it up. And it's worked. Now, what I'll say is it worked until he got to frickin' Atlanta humidity on Sunday, and they had 3 home runs in 1 inning on him, and that didn't go so well. But
is this going to be like the Diamondbacks with the humidor thing?
There you go. But no, I was impressed. I watched his previous start, and I was really impressed, which I had him down to talk about before then the Braves just kind of beat up on him. And I'm like, oh, wow, that doesn't look so good. But it's one of those things, Phillies need an arm. What do? They go get a guy that the Rays threw away. That's not something every day that you normally, right. Like you said, if the Rays pick up a guy, you're like, oh, hey, now I'm interested. If the Rays get rid of a guy, you're like, well, there's probably a pretty darn good reason. Their player eval is usually pretty solid. It's a matter of then developing that player is the problem. And apparently they gave up maybe a little too early on Michael Mercado. But
well, and I know I made him a Jesus takes the wheel pick this year, so everybody thinks he's garbage. But Matthew Liberatore has still, despite that brief period of time when I said go pick him up, he has still been a perfectly serviceable guy. I believe he had a quality start over the weekend and somewhat of a spot start too, Ben. It may not have been quality, but it was a quality start, if you know what I'm saying. It may not have ticked the stat sheet with the QS, but he had a good start over the weekend.
30 appearances, 49 innings, 3.86 ERA, 118 WHIP. You'll take that. That's a solid contributor from the left side. He's made 5 starts this year. You'd love a guy. Sometimes.
I don't know if it's just me or if we lost Ben. I can kind of hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. You're back. Your screen was fuzzy. You kind of went away. Yeah. So I didn't know if you were glitching. It's maybe we've been hacked. Well, the Cardinals are known for that, right? Maybe they didn't want us talking about Lipitor, so they hacked in.
Uh-oh.
Ben is a robot.
Joseph,
Yeah, there we go.
Joseph has gone robotic.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm sure what you were saying was that Lipitor has been perfectly serviceable and everything is good. So we'll move now to minor league rehab starts here at minute 30 and 20 seconds. And we'll wait for 4, 3, 2. We could even commercial break right now, Govier. You want a commercial break? Boom. There's your commercial break. I'll put that in the notes. So we've got minor league rehabs: Chase Hampton, Jace Jung, Zach Veen, AJ Smith-Schuster, Ricky Tiedemann, Timo Rocker, Emmanuel Rodriguez, and Jordan Lawler. Ben, I'm excited about Hampton because he hasn't pitched all year. Tiedemann pitching, getting strikeouts is good. I haven't actually looked to see what Rocker's done. Emmanuel Rodriguez, he will be playing in that game that I'll be seeing on Friday night. So that is exciting.
Is he really? Is he rehabbing with Cedar Rapids?
Yeah, he was a Colonel last I looked at the roster. I looked at the roster, I think, Saturday or something like that.
Because he was Double-A before. So, but that it would make sense. That's kind of where they like to rehab guys, because Cedar Rapids is kind of just down the road from the big club.
Yeah, it showed him on the roster, and it also showed Meyer and Tom and White with Miami. So hopefully I'll get to see one of those boys on the mound. That would be exciting.
Ooh, yeah. But yeah, Zach Veen has been injured. I know Chad will be mad at us for not singing the praises of him, but he is what he is. But Jordan Lawler, this could be interesting in large part because we were talking about last week while you were off. Mike and I got into a discussion about Davison De Los Santos, and I mentioned to him that he's not going to play third, but Lawler absolutely could. Which, if Arizona says we're done with this, and am I stalled again?
No, I'm with you.
Oh, okay. But if
sorry,
Arizona
I was listening.
It all of a sudden didn't move, and I'm like, wait a minute. But
sorry, I'll put it on so you can see me.
But if Arizona says, you know what, our pitching injuries are just such that we're not going to be able to do this, and decides to, they've got some very solid young players on the position side, but they decide to cut off some of the guys that they have otherwise, Eugenio Suarez is a perfect option for them to move. He's not really doing anything. Basically, you tie him together with a pitcher and say, salary dump. You take this guy, we'll take back your, A-ball prospect for him. Mm-hmm. And we're fine with that because we get to cut off this salary plus Suarez's salary. And now we can see what the heck Lawler has by bringing him up and playing him at third every day. So It's good to see him back on the field.
And that's so what you just said is an important trade that a lot of people really want to see, which is move him and ideally the salary out. And best case scenario is you can later in the year have Lawler come up as it suits the Diamondbacks. Because like we said, he's not contributing, not Lawler. Suarez is not contributing in the most positive way, especially on the fantasy side for us. So speaking of not contributing the best on the fantasy side, but about to turn around is former Jesus Takes a Wheel pick, Spencer Howard, who is now with Cleveland. He hasn't pitched in we're going to get close to 2 weeks here. I think it's like 10, 11 days right now, but he's now with Cleveland. And the fun part of this pickup with Cleveland is that he has to stay on the 26-man roster. And they did this with Thor last year and it worked out great. And then Thor signed that $100 million. Oh, wait, it didn't work at all. But maybe with Spencer Howard, they'll try a different tact, or he won't have the sour attitude that allegedly Thor had when he showed up to town. But Howard, Mike Govier has just let us know that he's still not home. We understand. It's pouring. Interesting. Also, someone let me know. Should I make sure when I'm in Detroit that I find a place to have Detroit pizza? I was told today at work that it's nothing important. So I hope that offended someone. Ideally, Govier. But anyway, so Howard might come back. We're just going to have to see him. He'll probably be the long man with Cleveland, so mop-up duty, whatever. And that leads me to this week's Jesus Take the Wheel pick. Ben, do you have that queued? I'm putting too much pressure on you. I apologize.
Yeah, I will. I was just looking.
Okay,
at
well then let's pretend.
Jesus, take the wheel.
There we go.
We are getting into the G-Stick Wheel pick this week. It is Rosny Contreras. What? Well, allegedly he's starting for the Angels tomorrow night, which means, people, he's got one of two things going for him. That is the 2-start week, but I believe it's actually setting him up for potential 2-start week next week. And you're saying, but this is the guy that was so hyped up with the Pirates and they served him wrong and did him dirty. They did. You're right. And you know what's worse than being jerked around by the Pirates? Going to the Angels. But that's what he is. That's his fate right now. So for Rosie this year, in 25 2/3 innings, a 4.04 ERA, 32 Ks, a win, a loss, and it's okay. It's not great. But we'll see if he does in fact start next week. He got 2 2/3 innings last week. I don't know if that was single game. I think it was. Yes, it was on the 4th. So he is lined up to potentially throw 70, 80 pitches. We'll see what happens with it. I like this again because this is somebody who, if he is able to make it happen, his 1% rostered on Yahoo will all of a sudden explode because people will remember that name. And a week from now, you won't be able to get him. Remember Davis Daniel when we were talking, not you and I, Ben, but the other boys were talking highly of him. And I thought, yeah, like that's an interesting one. I didn't buy in on that one. I went with Spencer Arrigati, who everyone remembers, absolutely nailed it for me last week. With the second start he had, which I actually thought he was starting tonight. But in his second start on Sunday, he 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 3.6 ERA. Did not get the win, unfortunately. I think it was 3-3 when he went out of the game. Anyway, the start earlier was the one that I said he's going to, just rack up Ks against the Jays. Well, they friggin' woke up. It was very frustrating. And he got his tits ripped. So last week so far, just
on that thing. You get me?
That's what happened to that pick. It got hooked too.
Yeah, exactly.
In 9 innings last week, Arrigati had an 8 ERA, 1 loss, 11 Ks. We'll see. He still does have one more start for me because, like I said to everybody, this is like a 3-start kind of scenario where I'm going with these guys. But anyway, that's the pick for this week. Rosny Contreras. If you're picking him, I understand. Hey, I picked up Arrigati last week in my home league and I lost. It's unfortunate, but I'm sticking with him. I did put him in again on Sunday, and I did try to buy him in 2 dynasty leagues that I didn't already have him in. So I like that pick. I don't care if you don't. We'll talk about it in 2 weeks. Exactly. So Ben, let's move in now to mock draft 2.0. I'm going to have to write down the timestamps for all these picks that we're making. But before we do that, my friend, we are going to flip a coin.
Oh,
now
Robbie, Mike's
Yeah.
asking if we should make Saturday open invite.
Absolutely. If anybody wants to come and pay for my ticket to the Tigers game, you are more than welcome. If you want to buy me a beer, or like a mini Tiger bat or anything, as long as there's something
mini Tiger bat.
I got mini Blue Jay bats. Oh, I tied them together. There's mini Blue Jay bats up there on the wall. You can kind of see the blue and the pink.
No,
I got those the night I proposed to my wife when some guy spilled beer all over her.
I have one from.
Hey, there you go. That looks classic.
That's from 1946.
Wow. Holy
Somebody
cow.
locally gave me that. So
okay, so Ben, here's how we will pick tonight. I don't know if you guys can see the coin really well. There, you can see some sort of thing on it there. Okay, that's not the fun, exciting part of it. The other part is here, the other side of it. Now, I don't know if you'll be able to read. This is a Cuban coin. Okay. And why did I pick Cuban coins for the MLB draft? Because you can't pick the Cubans. Okay. But we can flip them right here, right now.
We can flip them. We can trade them.
Yeah. So we've got a shield side that I will call it, and a building side. It looks like a waterfront property. So Ben, this is a 1 something piece. So the side that says 1 on it, or the shield. Yeah, some guy, Joe says some guy spilled beer all over here. Way to not take responsibility. It wasn't me. It was some guy sitting behind us, and they spilled beer all over. Felt horrible. Went and bought us bats. We didn't care. It was a great engagement. We were married. It'll be 15 years this October, everybody. So anyway, Ben, call it in the air. You're either calling shield or money. Ready, steady, go.
Shield.
Okay, it is here. I have not looked. It is shield. So you may either Pick or pass. Do you want to be on the clock with Cleveland, or do you want to move on up? Here we're at 40 minutes exactly with this bad boy.
I am gonna do the evens actually.
Okay, so you are passing the pick, and I am pumped because now I get to pick for Colorado. Okay.
I didn't even realize. Yep, you're right.
So I gotta see now. I apologize to anybody who's wondering why you might hear some clicking and things. This is called research, people. I am going to make the fun pick. I'm calling this. This is the one that I would love to see Cleveland make, and that's Cleveland at 1-1, taking a cue from Pittsburgh and looking at the All-Star game potential best pitcher this year of Paul Skeens. I think they're going to take Chase Burns. That's who I'm going 1-1 here. I love the thought. Of Chase Burns at 1-1.
And you're taking him. I'm going to go the opposite way. I am going to go. I love the idea, even though it may seem like there's not a clear spot for him. Charlie Condon hitting balls out in Cincinnati would just be so stinking fun. And so that's going to be my guy there.
All right. So we've got Burns and Condon going. Now I'm going to wait to 41 minutes and 30 seconds to make my Rockies pick, because we all know that this one's not going to play out well for the fan base. No one is going to be happy with it. I did think of going like clear off the board with this one. I don't know if this really is or not, but I'm going to say Bryce Rainier. They're going with a high school shortstop. They've done this before with Veen, right? They picked the guy that they want to fly up through the system. Ezekiel Tovar is perfectly good. You're not drafting based on need when you're the Rockies. You're essentially drafting based on just not getting power hitting corner infielders. I think they did the pitcher thing. I think in real life they might do the pitcher thing this year, but in this draft, I like the idea of going with Rainier.
All right. Well, then this kind of sticks with the same guy that I really like in this spot, and that is the Oakland Athletics, kind of following the route that they took with Jacob Wilson last year and going with JJ Weatherholt, a guy who should be a very consistent hitter straight out of the box. So,
all right. So we've got Burns 1-1, Condon 2, Bryce Rainier 3, Oakland taking JJ Weatherholt. That looks like an Oakland pick. I know there's also rumblings that Weatherholt could real life go 1-1 to Cleveland.
Oh yeah, a lot of talk there. In fact, I believe the last Baseball America podcast or mock draft had Weatherholt at number 1.
Oh, okay. Well, that might be the way to go here. I'm gonna delay a couple seconds because I don't want to go too fast. I want people's jaws to get back up and in.
Speaking of Baseball America, one thing for folks to know, they just put out today their top 100 senior signs list. And so those are the guys that, like, on the second day of the draft are going to sign for $15,000 to help a team push money into the third day of the draft or to afford picking some guys early. They're very interesting guys to know. It's just a fun list to have for folks that are trying to find when they start to get bored about the 6th round, because it's all a whole bunch of names that aren't on any of these top whatever lists for prospects coming into the draft. There's your list. You can go find that one.
All right. And I will pause on my bit that I talked to you about before, Ben, and I will get back to that one later, because the Chicago White Sox on the board here at 5 are just so excited. They're not officially turning the page in the MLB, but they're going to be sooner than later at first base, because they're going to pick themselves up some Nick Kurtz, Wake Forest. Vaughn is just not making it happy. And the White Sox were thinking outfield, thinking pitching, and then went with first. So that's where we are with that one. Here we are. KC, you are now on the clock.
And see, I think this is the situation that Kansas City would just hate, honestly, because there's a lot of guys that they would really like. And so I'm going to have them go with Braden Montgomery. I think that makes a really good fit in Kansas City.
I like that. That was the potential pick for the White Sox until I thought about all the angry people who are not happy in fantasy with Vaughn. So I thought that was a worthy choice there. So I have on my second spreadsheet, I'm deleting my names that I've got here so that I don't make a little muck up later on. But I have the most, I mean, you're lucky you get to pick 8, but I have the most St. Louis pick I can possibly think of. And this is Travis Bazzana going, what did they not really need? What's the type of guy that goes to St. Louis and gets it done, or gets like he's won in fantasy because of where he landed? It's Bazzana. The second baseman from Oregon State is going to St. Louis here at minute 46.
And so now
I left him for you, basically. I left you the guy. Don't fuck this up.
This is where I'm going, man, if I'm the Angels, this isn't going to be what the Angels are picking. But the Angels, with me at GM, looks at the board and goes, why the hell is Jack Caglione still here? And makes that pick and runs up with it. So that's who they're going to grab.
And I think it's an excellent pick if that was to happen like in real life, IRL, as the children say, because it puts you in an amazing position for a team that's been pushing guys up. Well, here's a guy you don't actually need to push.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with them? What is your true plan here? Because you don't want to screw whatever system you've got or whatever your plan is, bring guys up, get MLB type ready guys early. But again, like this is a guy who could be an effective player. You don't want to make him your left fielder, right? And you're not pushing Noel Shanwell out. So it's an interesting pick, but again, like, it could work, right? It could work. So I'm gonna make the smart pick here. Let me just double check to make sure I didn't just accidentally. No, he is available. That's right, everybody. I'm taking the top lefty off the board. He's headed to Pittsburgh. Hagen Smith is going, ladies and gentlemen. And Pittsburgh would love, I think, Smith to be there at that point. And they would they would
do backflips.
Yeah. You see that guy pitching the All-Star game at Skeensville? Yeah. We think you can get to that level too. Because then that would give them a good amount of plethora savages throwing. This could be a fun one. All right, so who does that leave for you here? And where are we going? We're going to Washington. I pick 10, and then we'll do a recap here.
I know what I want to do for them, just because they're young and they're on the cusp, and I think that there are so many guys that could help them out in the next 2-3 years. But I also think that if they're smart, they're building a system that's going to keep coming for years and years, not just the next 3 to 5. So that's why I am going to go with Connor Griffin in this spot.
Yeah.
Top high schooler.
Yeah. And they have shown a proclivity to develop these guys. They are the type of club that can take a player. Yeah, Adam's saying he thinks I duffed it with my Pittsburgh pick, but they need hitters. But
no, he says he likes it.
Yeah,
Frank,
he likes it.
If he's there,
they need the minor. They need they need hitters. The one thing I will say is when they picked Nick Gonzalez, a lot of people were out. Ben, you had said as well, like you don't know what the true ceiling is of a Nick Gonzalez type, and I think that's part of maybe their learning process as well. That they might say, well, the pitching could be more successful to us. Maybe they'll do the opposite of what everyone does. The line seems to be draft the bats by the arms. Maybe they're going to draft the arms and then try to buy some bats. Maybe that's what they're going to do to try to pick it. So we'll reset here, Ben, with our top 10 in our mock draft, where just to refresh everybody, We are the GM the moment we are on the clock for the organization, and we are making the pick that we think best suits them, not based on their draft history. But Joe's saying here that most teams should be given a pass on the 2020 MLB draft. I think that's been an incredibly successful draft class to this point.
Overall it has, but it's where guys were picked that doesn't make
Right.
sense.
So like
Spencer Strider being a 4th round or 5th round pick. Spencer Strider and Bryce Elder were 4th and 5th round picks for the Braves.
Yeah, but Strider's not even pitching in the big leagues, so I don't see what you're talking about.
But I mean, no, you had. I mean, Asa Lacy. There we go. There.
Yeah,
I have heard
he was 6th, right?
So many. Yeah, but I
Mhm.
think he was like number 2 overall ranking or something like that, which was just ridiculous. I've heard so many comps with Hagen Smith and Asa Lacy, and it makes me want to pull my hair out because we saw Hagen Smith do this all year long. We saw Asa Lacy do it for 3 starts at the start of the year and then not have to pitch again. So we don't know what the rest of that year would have looked like for Lacy, and maybe we would have never gone through all the rest of this stuff that we did.
You know
maybe
what,
he
Ben?
would have
2
just
weeks
blown
ago,
up and
2 weeks ago in a Dynasty League, I made a trade for Asa Lacy. You know who I got back? Brent Honeywell Jr. That's what I'm talking about. Not joking. That's a real trade that happened. It
all comes together.
Yeah, it was 1 for 1, straight up, and I was happy as a pig in shit to be able to make that because I thought this is a guy, and I took Lacy back on a trade with some level of significance where he was like an important piece within that trade of, he's just started slowly as a pro. And I mean, arm troubles, right? He hasn't been healthy enough to pitch, but that's how I was able to make it happen where the guy who got him was like, I'll take a chance. He has a higher ceiling than Honeywell. And I was like, sure he does. The Pirates' future closer.
Genius.
Exactly. Anyway, I've delayed long enough with Detroit here. I'll put it in here, minute 52 in 10 seconds. 11th man off the board. They are known for having good pitching. They're going to add to it. They're taking high school arm William Schmidt.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a little later than I've seen, a little earlier than I've seen him in places. But based on how this draft has gone, I don't think Detroit is looking to do now. If for some reason Caglione had still slipped, for sure, but I don't think there's another guy that they could see here that they're like, yes, let's get him up quick. And with the high school guys, this allows them with Schmidt to take their time developing him. He doesn't need to rush into any levels because they've got a plethora of guys in AA and AAA.
And this puts me in a really tough spot because there are 2 guys I really like here from 2 very different angles. And I'll just talk it out that I'm looking at either Trey Savage or James Tibbs.
And this is with Boston on the board, just so everybody knows.
Boston on the board, yes. Sorry. And the Red Sox, I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go Tibbs, and mainly being that Tibbs can be that guy that moves up with the Meyer, with the Teal, with all those guys. He's going to jump up pretty quick to AA, and he's going to become right with them in that huge wave of guys they're going to have here in the next 2 years.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You want to keep a core together, or build the core, I should say. And Tibbs, as you said, should be able to do it. It's actually James Tibbs the third.
Yep.
Not that I'm correcting you, but that's just where I've seen it written down.
I know.
As both. And that makes it pretty easy for me. I'm going to do a Giants thing here. We take pitchers early and often. Last year, I think they made an excellent pick with Bryce Eldridge, who's now not going to worry about pitching. So they're like, well, let's get a guy who absolutely pitches. And since Boston didn't take him, we're going to take Trey Savage. We're taking the East Carolina right-hander. And that's at minute 54, we'll just say. I'll just let those extra seconds.
Like that fit a lot.
Yeah. And that leads us to a team that in the Cubbies, who are one of the ones who most recently started the trend of draft and promote quick, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about the fact that it was their World Series year, I believe, right? It wasn't 16.
No, it was a couple years ahead of that.
18.
Yeah.
Pardon me. excuse me, that they drafted. Oh my goodness, now his name's escaping me. I just coughed that part of my brain out. Oh my goodness, who is their shortstop? Sorry,
Nico?
Nico Horner. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
But Ben,
He
you're
moved quick.
on the clock here. Who are the Cubs selecting in our mock draft?
I am going to go with Cam Smith of Florida State. Gives them a hot corner prospect that could move fairly quick for them.
All right. Cam Smith also could be written down as Cameron Smith. The scouting note that I have on him is stud ? So there's potential there.
Yeah.
There is potential. Now, this brings me to one of my favorite spots or teams to be able to make a pick for, and that is Seattle. I get to be Jerry DiPoto. Dreams do come true. It can happen to you. Now, I'm Jerry DiPoto. I have had a lot of success drafting pitchers, but I don't need to take them early and often, because when I did that, I succeeded, and those are now my rotation anchors, along with a couple of good deals I made in getting myself Castillo. And I am not beholden to that, but I've also been really good at drafting and really bad at developing middle infielders. I've got guys that have prospect type. I've traded other guys away. I've done a good job in the J2 class of getting people, but I have not really made my middle infield outside of drafting catchers. I've not made my middle infield solid. So what do I want to do? I don't know. I've done the high school guys. I've got the college guy. I got everybody everywhere in the middle. So do I double down and take those guys, or do I go back to what I know? And one thing that they haven't done well is they haven't drafted high school arms well. So I think Jerry might dip his toe in and get a little bit of a Nepo baby here and go with Cam Kimnity. High schooler, high velo, 3 pitches, classic starter type. He's sitting out here at what pick are we at here, Ben? 16, 17?
Yeah.
15, sorry. Or pick 15.
15 is where it was. Yep.
Yeah, I can see DiPoto going that way and loving every minute of it. It's a lefty, it's something that I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's Sam Carlson was the one guy they drafted. I think it was second round, and he did not play well. Then he had a lot of injury issues, and he's with Milwaukee or somebody else now. He's trying to make a go at it, but he's the one guy who I think maybe DiPoto's like, I can do better than that. Not that he failed him. The guy was injured, and his ability to pitch changed. So. But anyway, you now have the curse of the Marlins, or is it the blessing?
Yeah, curse of the Marlins. I mean, the blessing is in this draft, college hitters abound, and they need hitting something fierce. But it's just who's going to not get developed at all. And, at this point in the draft, pretty much everyone needs some development. So I am going to go with Vance Honeycutt here as a high octane sort of guy to plug in, especially with the rumors that they are looking to potentially move Jazz Chisholm, who is kind of their current high octane center fielder type, and he could fit right into that spot.
Well, and Jazz has had injuries in each season, and not that you're going to draft somebody because you're like, well, they won't get hurt. We don't know that. But when you move him from second to center field and then he gets hurt. Oh, it is Mark. Well, good evening, sir. I hope your cooking demo went well. He is the chef in the catering kitchen that I am the assistant chef to. So that means he's back from making ramen. That was what he did tonight in his cooking demo, Ben. And I avoided helping him with all of it today. It was great. I made sure we had the food ordered for the rest of the week. But speaking of getting to do orders, I've got the Brewers, which is great because I'll be there later this week, so I can talk to them about this pick when I make it for them. Now, I feel like I'm going a little bit pitcher heavy with some of my picks, but it's because they're fun, right? And I'm going to go here and give Milwaukee some high stakes heat. I'm going with Brody Brecht. the right-handed pitcher out
I
of
like that.
Iowa.
I like that.
It's, it's not hometown, but it's,
It's
would you say
Midwest.
it's within, it's within that part of the region? So just to refresh here, at exactly 1 hour, Milwaukee is picking Brody Brecht, who is a 101 on the gun. He's the guy who I think I mentioned in the last one that they had talked about him throwing like 104, 105, but it was like allegedly like hot gun. It was a hot gun that day, but he does throw triple digits. So Ben, that puts you on the board here with the Tampa Bay Rays.
And I'm going to go with a guy here that I really like. I think he would be a lot higher if it weren't for some injury stuff. And I'm going to go with Theo Gillen, high school shortstop, Theo Gillen.
Yeah. So he also, I have a scouting report on him as risk of 2B. So I don't know if that's that he is small, because I didn't bother to write anything else. Which just tells me when I was doing my homework here, I was looking at some potential problems small, here.
But he's the type of guy whose his offense is way ahead of his defense, and a big part of that is he really ripped up his shoulder. And so he might be moved to second only because the shoulder might not handle the shortstop.
Okay.
But this is possibly, you can make a good argument that this guy is a plus hit, plus power, plus speed sort of guy. The defense lags behind, but the offensive stuff is really special. And I think if it weren't for that injury, we'd be talking about him a lot earlier.
Okay. All right. Well, that puts me here on the board with the Mets. And I will say the Mets have had success. We've talked about it a lot. Success with their arms, developing their arms. But because they've had success, I don't think they're going to look to it. And we know they're not looking at shortstops because they've signed one for the next 46 years. The one thing that I think would be the great tragedy for the Mets to do is this move right here. And they're going to do it in my draft. They're drafting Tommy White of LSU.
Yeah.
Third baseman. There's some flash and dash here, right? There's a little bit of a sales pitch. This is a fantasy sucker pick. People are going to get excited. They're going to be like, there's a path to playing. They're going to do that thing where they find a way to make Tommy White valuable and a top kind of 8 fantasy pick that could, depending on when, sign and get him playing. And if he hits 3 home runs as a pro before the end of the year, all of a sudden we're getting into the Nolan Gorman. Oh my goodness, we've got one here. And I think that's what Tommy White could do with the Mets.
That puts me with Toronto. And
good luck. Good friggin' luck picking for the Blue
Jays. This board for them right now it's really good, and it's also really bad because they've got a lot of. I think that there's probably 3 or 4 guys that they really hope fall to them, and I have 3 of those guys sitting in front of me right now, and I went, oh, well, shit. So here's what we're going to do, because this has been so frequently a spot that has gone this way. I am going to go with Caleb Lumavita, the top-ranked catcher, and it seems as if a lot of people that I trust have that the Blue Jays are pretty high on a couple of catchers here that are going to potentially come off the board before they get a chance to pick again. And they want to get into that top catching crop. So,
okay. And for real life, it makes sense. They got Danny Jansen, who either resigns or leaves. But either way, you're not drafting a catcher for next year. But you don't want to draft a guy that's 18 and needs 4 minor league innings without any knee surgeries. So it does make sense. And Alejandro Kirk, he may have peaked as a pro, or at least for fantasy purposes, he may have peaked. But also, he was never elite, and you don't want to waste your first pick on just a guy. So you may as well go big with that one. So you've got him in here, and we'll just say that was 1 hour and 3 minutes, because why not? So at 1 hour, 4 minutes and 30 seconds, I'll give myself that extra little bit of time. The Minnesota Twins, am going to make a fun, exciting pick here. Wake Forest, Seaver King. because
yeah,
you draft players you don't need at positions you never fill long term. So, get a guy like King who just seems like he's good. He's had a pretty good mock draft ADP in the 5 different drafts I've got. His ADP in those mock drafts has been 14.6. That's where he's been taken on average. So in our draft here, Ben, he slid quite a bit. But the fear of Minnesota taking a center fielder scared me into their shortstop. So I think that's where they might want to go.
Well, and I like it just because they've found ways to give Willie Castro 450 at bats the last couple of years. They can get a guy that plays around the infield and plays around the whole field. They can find a way to use him. So, but I think that this really falls in nice for Baltimore to just go get a guy, because what do they need? They really don't need anything in their system. That's just it. And so I am going to have them jump forward and get the switch pitcher, Angelo Hinte.
No, that's who the Dodgers want. That's who the Dodgers want. Oh. So my mind here was bouncing back and forth, and I was thinking, you know what? Yeah, Sensei looks good as a Dodger because last year they went with the high school was it shortstop or center fielder? I don't remember what the position, but either way, they went youth, right? They went youth, high ceiling, speedster, and they've had good track record with pitchers, college pitchers. 2020, they took all college pitchers, half them in the rotation, or that at least were this year. So I thought, that might be a good one, because to me, Baltimore's in the take the youngest guy you can draft part of their development, because they are not wanting to rush anyone for any specific reason. Because like you said, Ben, they've got everything except for health on the pitching side, and you can't draft for that. So that's kind of what I thought.
Kind of why I like Shinte is that he's going to be able to have an opportunity to just figure out who he is. Maybe he figures out a really hardcore cutter from the left side, and he's a legit starter from both sides. Maybe he's maybe he just focuses hard on being a 2-inning guy both ways, and he can. So anyway, so that has you with the Dodgers. So who are you going to take with the Dodgers then?
Yeah, so I've had to rethink my entire life now, because I feel like it just didn't go the way that it woulda, coulda, shoulda. Oh, Govier's put here, if you guys are reading on the bottom of the ticker here, here live on YouTube, and don't forget, again, find us at Palazzo Podcast, 2 L's, 2 Z's, on YouTube. Yeah. You can find us there, and that delays me enough here at
Wow, dude.
8 minutes. We almost lost the pick. We almost pulled whatever that NFL team was that just timed out when we couldn't do the hell.
That was the Vikings like 2 years in a row.
Okay, we are going to go. Well, we're taking a Vikings-like name. We're taking Kalen Culpepper, the shortstop for Kansas.
I like it.
It's an in the middle. This is your Max Muncy. Who's the guy who gets forgotten? This isn't a high hype guy. I was looking at pitching options. Obviously, stupid Baltimore took it away from me. So this is who I've come back with, because this is what happens in real life, people. You might not be able to sign the player, but if the team drafts them, they are actually off the board. So I'm going with Kalen Culpepper, college shortstop. All right, so you are up. Oh, you poor bastard. You got stuck with the Braves.
Well, there may be a reason why I wanted to go evens.
Interesting.
So this is, in all seriousness, this is kind of what I have a feeling is going to be there for the Braves, is a lineup like this of college hitters. And if I am making that pick, I am going up right now and I'm taking Slade Caldwell.
Okay.
High school outfielder. He fits really well. I think he would fit really well with the organization and everything.
All right. Slade Caldwell, 1 hour and 9 minutes. going to Atlanta and never heard from again. All right. So I had Caldwell as an end of the first round regular pick. He was in the later half of the 20s, but again, high school guy. These guys move all around all the time. Now we're going to San Diego. Chad is saying here, hey, Robbie, just a fair warning. Border Patrol has a test they give before they let you in the country. Oh, no. Now I'm nervous. You have to name 15 prospect catchers you like to get into the States. I don't think that's true, Chad. I don't think that's true. I don't think Border Patrol cares about catchers, just like fantasy baseball players shouldn't care about catchers. Real life baseball is different. I understand that.
So can you name Hagen Danner? Would he count? He was a catcher.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's such a weird Uber 2 position. No, Hagen Danner, boo. Hagen Danner, boo.
I tried.
Yeah. He was a guy, I guess. But okay. So let me get back into this here. So one guy that's been slipping, who San Diego, it's not really their type of guy. I think I'm gonna skip it. I'll let him continue to slide. I think San Diego's going young here, and I think Caleb Bonmer is a pick for San Diego, shortstop. They've been able to make youth work in San Diego. They are so veteran laden right now, also, that they are not in a rush unless it's with an arm. I think to really make a pick. Like that, a college guy right now, unless it's so.
I don't see a college guy here arm wise that really makes sense either.
Right, and that's what I was looking at. Was the guys, 2 guys I was looking at? I'm like, no, I don't think either of them are going to go. But maybe to your pick.
Now we get everyone's favorite, the Yankees. But I'm going to leave that guy still sitting on the board that I think you're talking about here, and I'm going to go. They've been really looking hard at power, and I like Carson Bangy with going into that short porch in New York.
Yeah,
I don't know where he's going to play in the outfield, but that's a problem for future me, not current me.
Sorry, you said Carson
Benge. Bangy.
Yeah, I'm just
Bangy.
Say one.
Outfielder, pitcher, technically, but pretty sure his future is as an outfielder.
All right. Carson, there you are. Yeah, that was the guy that has been slipping from Oklahoma State. That's why I couldn't find him, because I went right past him looking to find out where he was. All right, let me reorder myself here. Because ladies and gentlemen, at 1 hour and 13 minutes into this bad boy, I am now the Phillies. And the Phillies have this thing every year where they desperately need pitching, and they add pitching, and it's all about pitching. But this year it's about bats. They're short on bats. So it's a reminder that you should develop some, because you can't always go out and just get some guy and then you just are able to develop 4th outfielders. We've seen a plethora of them with the Phillies who come and go. But one thing that they are going to need to do, Ben, is they're going to need to replace their catcher. And I feel like Jacob Cozart might be that replacement from NC State. It's not the pick I would ever want in fantasy, but I think this is a thing the Phillies could consider.
Yep.
Because of baseball.
Yep. I really think in the first couple of rounds, they're almost certainly coming out with a catcher. It's just a matter of whether they're wanting to use the capital of their first pick or wait till later. Because there's, seriously, this draft.
So
yeah, in this draft, there's probably in the range of 7 catchers that should go off in the first 2 rounds. Or by the time before you hit the 3rd round, because we have comp picks after the 2nd round too. So, but before you get to the 3rd round, there's probably 7 catchers that should go off the board. That's a lot. So, Houston probably would be a good destination for a catcher, but they're staring at a guy who keeps falling down this board, and Christian Moore is going to be who they end up taking.
All right.
Now you get to pick the first of a bunch of stuff for the Diamondbacks.
I was going to say we've got I get to go. My next 3 picks are Arizona, Minnesota, and then I am swinging back to Arizona. So I really get to set the table for Diamondbacks draft in this one, and I think that is a privilege. So I just have to figure out exactly how I want to go ahead and move with these guys here. Now, we saw Arizona go to the World Series last year. It seemed like it was kind of a surprise. Not everybody thought that was like awesome. They took out some good teams, but this year they haven't proven that they were on the cusp and continuing to roll up. So, nope, no one did say Aaron Miles. But when I hear on my board Arizona, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 50 seconds in, we're starting it off. We're pulling a Seattle. We're going Blake Larson, high school lefty.
Ooh,
That's
a spicy one.
We got 3 picks. We're going to make some waves with this one.
From far away, he said Arizona sounds like Aaron Miles.
Miles from my mouth. Someone said today that I say Detroit weird because I pronounce the it in Detroit it. And then we had a conversation. If you are in Canada, you say Toronto. And if you are not from Canada, you say Toronto. And you pronounce it phonetically. But if you're here, you just make it Toronto. So everybody's dumber for having heard that. Great. All right, Ben, you're up with Texas here, the defending World Series champs at 1 hour, 17 minutes. They've had a plethora of injuries this year, but the Rangers are on the board. You're at the helm. Where are they going here?
This is really a system need issue.
Okay.
They have very little bonus pool to play with. And so going after one of the college catchers makes a ton of sense because their system really doesn't have a catcher right now. It's just that I am not sure which one I want to go for, but I'm going to go with Walker Yannick.
Okay.
I think really my choice here is between Yannick and Malcolm Moore. And in this spot, I think Yannick is probably your better shot of a potential starter down the road, whereas Moore, I think, is one of those guys that's going to have a Travis d'Arnaud career for 15 years, where he might be the 1B type of a guy on a team, but he's never going to be that 1A guy.
Okay. That's an catchers, right? Fun. Everybody's excited. Talking catchers. Yeah. All right. So I'm back up here with Arizona, and people are still shaking their head, saying, "What was up with the Blake Larson pick?" I'm confused. What are they?
People are thinking it's Blake Lively. I mean, it's issues,
is it a marketing thing? No, everybody, no. Because next up here, they're going back to the lefty well. They're going to Duke this time. They're getting Jonathan Santucci.
Ooh, I like that. That's a spicy pick.
You afford your draft by making wise choices. And Larson, I think, could be an underslot. Santucci, you can get him at, a little bit under, which helps you later on in your draft. We're building here. I've got 3 picks. I need to make sure everybody signs with them. I know Arizona a few years back, the year that they got, was it like Malone and Walston? They had like 3 picks that were all pitchers. And I remember thinking very much like KC doing it. That's an interesting idea as long as they work out. So I'm taking a high school develop guy. I'm taking a college, let's push and see what he can do guy. And then we'll find out soon what my pick is. But you get to make another pick here, Ben, for the Orioles. So
yes, I do. And this is the only pick I get
patiently waiting.
The only pick I get to make the rest of the way where I made the first pick. The rest of these, I'm making the second pick for teams that you made the first pick on. So that'll be interesting to do up with.
After me.
Yeah, there you go. But in this one, I'm going to go for a good corn-fed boy from Nebraska in Tyson Lewis
Okay.
for Baltimore. Shortstop out of Nebraska high school. And that's just a type of guy that Baltimore is going to figure out where he plays eventually someday. But right now, could just have him come in and be a player.
All right. My next pick here, Ben, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I know depending we're getting told this is an all-time viewer record in show. Excitement of Ben and I making fictitious picks for teams who won't call us back when we ask for internships.
Yeah, you know what they say when we call?
Huck to and spit on that thing. You get me?
Is that what they say? Are you sure?
Well, if I want a job, anyway.
Wait, you're talking about how you earn one. Okay, well, before we get too far off here, at an hour 21, I am in charge of the Twins.
Ooh,
I
boy.
had their first pick, and who did I take with their first pick? Doesn't matter
Yes,
because I said,
Steve
I took
King.
yes, I was going to say
College.
I took a
Yep.
middle infielder. I am now doing what everybody was fearful of. I'm drafting for the future. I'm taking a guy with Johnny Farmello comps, Griffin Burkholder, center field high school arm. So this is I'm going to say it. This is your replacement in center field for Byron Buxton. Because I think everybody likes to say that from time to time.
You know, they do, but yeah. Anyway, we'll leave that one alone.
I was just say it doesn't have to be right.
Yeah.
It just has to be my statement on it. So you now get to make Milwaukee's second pick. I made their first pick.
Yep. They've already got Brody Brecht.
Yes, thank you.
You got Brody Brecht for him, which to me would say they might have a little money to play with. And, you know, I'm going to let them finally get a big time bat and go with PJ Morlando.
PJ Morlando. Let's see. Oh,
and I think if PJ was 18.9 years old going into this draft, he might, instead of already 19, there's a good chance he would be significantly more well thought of.
Okay. I was just going to say, my report on him is quite short, but his ADP for FYPD mock drafts is 29, Ben. So he is right in that wheelhouse that you've picked from. Now, I am going back with the Diamondbacks here for the third pick. And, you know, love me or hate me, I got him one more time here. And beyond that, I've got a Pittsburgh, and then I get to end with KC. And there's nothing I hate more than how Kansas City drafts. So I am really excited. I should say it's how they draft recently, because I did like that whole pitcher thing. It just didn't work out. But anyway, here with Arizona, we've got a high school arm, we've got a college arm, and I think now we can safely kind of go with, I guess, a college. I'm going to say a college arm that's okay. That's someone that's going to be. Not a guarantee. I don't want to say guarantee, Ben. I want to say a good arm that I think will do good things. So anyway, that's enough of the delay. It's Ben Hess with Alabama.
Okay. Yeah.
So I went with a trio of arms, and I think that leaves them a lot of possibility and money throughout the rest of their draft to go whole hog on all the guys they want. I did get a high schooler in there who I think has a good ceiling. Yeah. Okay. That's it. Ben, you are up here with Cleveland, who also had the top pick.
Yep. And they took Chase Burns at the very top. And so they're going to come out of this. They're looking at, well, they could go the route of getting one of the whole crop full of high school hitters, or still on the board is the guy that I think would fit really well into that system. And that's Ryan Waldschmidt.
Okay.
And so plugging him in as a Cleveland Guardian.
I've got him here as a left fielder out of Kentucky. So I was just crunching some ice because I am now on the board with the Pirates. And it's stressful. It's stressful, guys. there were two guys I was looking at with the Pirates' second pick once I did the math on do I get to make their second pick. And I'll talk it out because I only have a couple picks left, so it's okay. I was looking at the potential of Dax Whitney, a high school arm. The other one is a spin rate champion with a Lance McCullers comp in Braylon Doughty, also a high schooler. And I've got more info on Doughty, so I'm going to go with him to Pittsburgh here at 1 hour and 25 minutes. And the deal with Doughty is the 81 curve, 84 slider, but a 96 fastball, which I think means they need to really get him to hone the fastball so he doesn't break his arm off. But Pittsburgh could do good things, I think, with Braylon and going pitcher. 50% success rate. Let's see. They can take it slower with Doughty. That's the game plan here. So Ben, you have the misfortune here of having a Rocky pick. What do you thinking here? Your final pick at this draft, the Rockies at 3 took Bryce Rainier. They went high school.
Yeah, which is likely going to mean there you go. It's likely going to mean that they want to go the arm route and more than likely the college arm route. And good Lord, is there not a great fit for for that?
Because I've been picking them all. I've been putting them on all the teams.
But my thought here is to go with Bryce Cunningham, Vanderbilt righty, and best pitch is a changeup.
There you go.
Next best is a fastball. I mean, fastball changeup guy, repeatable delivery. Yeah, but you can make that work.
Yeah. All right. So for my final pick here, I had this guy kind of queued up. I assumed he would be here. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Kansas City. Yeah. 39th pick. I've got Mike Sirota, outfielder.
I'm a big fan.
KC's got a big old outfield. You need a guy who can play it. I was just trying to pull up his stats, and the page just locked. Oh my god!
Which, yeah, he is.
I just wanted to give the people a little bit of it's going to be okay in KC.
Elite defender, elite defender out there in center field. So,
and that's why you go with him for Kansas City with that big ass outfield. It allows you to have more power in your corners, in my opinion.
I pulled up here the Baseball America rankings, and our first three guys that weren't selected, 25, 26, and 27, are all three high schoolers, which makes sense. But then the first college guy that didn't get picked off of their list is number 29, Billy Amick, which I think that's an interesting one to have fallen down. But I think it makes sense. I think he and Tommy White are very similar guys that fit for a lot of similar teams. And as you get down the board, like I said, Ryan Waldschmidt, I've seen him go as high as like in the high teens. And so for him to still be on the board at 36, things happen. This draft, after you get past about 11 or 12, you're really kind of throwing darts. I mean, there's not a whole lot that's different than the previous one. So,
yeah. Also, now, did you pick Ryan Johnson at some point?
No, he was very heavily in consideration for the Colorado pick.
Yeah, and I was looking at him for San Diego, and I just didn't think that was the right time.
Yeah,
based on how that draft was going. So he also stayed off.
Johnson has a huge fastball, but he's also a big slider guy, and I didn't think that was probably the right guy to put into Coors as I got down to the end. But no, there's a lot of really it would not surprise me if a dozen names that we just called out don't get selected on the first day.
Yeah.
And a dozen different guys fall in from about anywhere from about 17, 18 on down, start falling in there where with guys that we maybe didn't even select. So
Yeah, like I've got 110 on this list, and even just like I've got it alphabetical at the moment of guys we didn't select. Zach Stewart, Wyatt Sanford, Tyson Neighbors, great name, Sawyer Farr. There's dudes here, Peyton Toll, Owen Hall, Michael Massey. Like these guys are getting drafted. Levi Sterling. We will see them drafted. It's a matter of where they're drafted and how much they sign for. That will be very interesting. Dax Whitney is another one that I like. I think I'd mentioned him as well. It will be interesting to see where these guys go, because one of the things that Ben talked about was the list that came out about seniors that are going to get drafted for less, signed for less. And one of the things I love to do is I like to check out what everyone signed for and in what round they were picked. And I look for discrepancies that I need to tell or find the story. What's the thread behind this? And one of the great things that I can do, or not I can do, that we can all do, is say, okay, who signed for a lot in like rounds 7 through 12? Like who was a guy that ended up getting money that otherwise probably would not have signed? And that's like Jacob Zybin with Cleveland, who signed 2 years ago, who, we were trying to figure out what the hell was going on with him because there weren't many reports, but it's injury related for him. But he signed for a big slot. Brock Burke. Was that right? Was it Brock Burke? No, that's the wrong Porter. Brock Porter? Yeah.
Yep.
He was a big slot guy. Like you look to try to find these things. Then of course you have the hype stories. Who was the guy, the high schooler, the draft the Angels picked all pitchers, like almost all of them were college except for one dude who they picked out of high school, like an academy arm. He ended up getting traded to Colorado. But at the time of I can't remember his name, but I know enough of the story.
Say that isn't Kai Bush.
No, it's not Kai Bush.
Nope. I know who you're talking about, but I can't
a lefty, a soft tossing lefty. But anyway, the whole point was like, oh wow, like this guy, they signed him, and he got hyped up. And I was like, well, it doesn't seem like he is like elite pitcher. It seems like he's like a real field control pitcher. And I don't know if that's going to work unless he can, make velo somewhere. So when I was, looking through those guys and checking the signings, that was kind of what I was drawn to. But I've also seen college seniors who have signed for very little.
Mason Albright.
That's the one. Thank you. Yeah. And he was one of the arms that I was like, well, it's interesting. And people are hyping him a little bit based on what happened as far as his signing, but I'm not interested in him. But Pittsburgh has also signed some like college guys who I've looked at and been like, oh, they signed for so little. Let's see what happens. And a few of them have gotten to AA now, but I think their organizational depth. But I just, I like to look at those things after the draft, of course, and see kind of where the chips have fallen. And again, when guys sign, where do they get assigned to? And we're going to cover all of that in a month when, the draft has taken place, and then they have, 30 days to sign. And within that time, we'll see guys sign, and then we'll start to see them get assigned. So we'll be able to have a good conversation about that come mid-August, which will line up perfectly with one of my fantasy drafts that we do in August. So Ben, what are you pulling up on the board here?
I'm pulling up here my last mock draft. This is my fifth one of the season, I guess, if you want to call it that. And my last one, I always kind of like to do chaos, where picks are made that make sense, but at the same time maybe aren't the standard. You can see here, my first pick overall is Jack Caglione. And isn't that a nice, handsome mug? My gosh, he's a good looking kid. But in all seriousness, I have fun, and it kind of, what would happen down the board if this thing happened at the start of the board, and just kind of to have fun with it. But that's the type of year or type of season we're in. There's lots of really good mocks out there where, check the angle that they have. Some of them are, we've talked to all the teams and now we've got our idea of what the teams are going to do. Okay, good. There's also plenty of folks going, this is what I would do, like what Robbie and I just did. If I were the GM, here are the picks I would make. And there's plenty of other ones that are, just having fun throwing stuff against the wall. So we've got a week. Sunday, we get to actually hear the first names called. That's when it's going to be lots of fun.
Sorry, I'm reading the bottom of the ticker, and he's saying, I don't care. Just go to this moment in the show, 1 hour, 35 minutes in, and read the bottom of this thing that Mike has written.
Yes, that he has let a lot of people down, and
you're getting a minor league report on the YouTube channel, special MLB live draft starting at 6 p.m. So you're getting Regilio Castillo. I'm pretty sure I nailed that. I must have. And his group of dudes. I know Mr. Govier has talked highly of these gentlemen. Make sure, there you go. Make sure you follow along with those guys. But Ben, we've done it. We've done 95 plus minutes. We've talked news, promotions, etc., etc. I did not butcher it. I am a butcher, and I will cut you, friend, on Saturday when we meet up. Yeah, I think we're done, and it's time to go. Have an awesome time away, Ben. I hope you really, really, really enjoy that family time. I'm going to enjoy my travel time and sleeping in my vehicle. But final thoughts here before we go. Anything fun and exciting you think could happen in this draft that would truly throw a bomb in it? You think Caglione 1-1 would just rock the house for the rest of it?
I honestly really do, just because I don't know what other teams starting at about number 4 are going to do if one of Bazana or Condon are both on the board,
right?
And they have to start making decisions, because I really don't believe they have any thought that that those guys are going to be there. So, but the other thing that I really think could be fun in this draft, you're starting to hear more and more conversation about the high school kids earlier and earlier in the draft. I mean, you picked one at number 3 for Colorado.
I did.
You're legit hearing it fairly strong at as high as 4. And you're hearing the Reds, if they could get the right deal, would love to take one of those high school kids. That could really throw a lot of things off, because right now those high school guys are kind of 6, might be as early as you really probably see them come into play. But man, that would make things a lot of fun. But with all these high school kids, if teams just said, screw it, we're going to go over and we're going to get our guy at the back end of the first round with those comp picks and things, it could really make the second round a lot less fun, because to me, that's what the second round is going to be fun
right,
with.
The value that sticks around, right?
Well, and by the end of the second round, you're probably done with signability on most of these guys. You're probably into an area where these guys aren't signable anymore. A lot of these high school guys that are the top of the crop sort of guys. Right. So yeah, if you get a whole bunch of them at the end of the first, that leaves a whole lot of really good college guys on the board. I don't know what ends up happening in the second round. You know, do teams still go with their high school guy just to make sure they get him, or do they go after a college guy because holy cow, I can't believe this guy is still on the board? Or so it could make for a lot of fun.
And luckily for us, we don't know what's going to happen. We're at 499 views. It'd be fun to end with 500. Yeah. It'd be fun.
Go find a friend. Pull them online.
Yeah, somebody go get one more person, and then we'll have had 500, and that's exciting. But I mean, it is time to end it, because we've done our thing, and it's going to be really fun to discuss the fallout of the draft, Ben. And then once the signings have happened, the official fun and games for that. I think we'll just end up 499. I mean, I'd love to see 500.
Okay. One quick thing.
Oh, we made it. We made it at 500.
There
okay,
we
got to end it.
Oh, and 501.
Oh my God, we're over.
So Yilbert Diaz is 5 innings deep against the Braves. Said he was going to give you Ks. He's only got 3. But he's only given up a solo home run to Austin Riley. That's the only damage so far tonight. So he's currently trailing 1-0, but still 5 innings, 1 run, 3 strikeouts. You'll take that. No walks. That's the big thing. No walks.
Yeah, that's great. One fun thing we could do to end this is, you want to talk trucks? You want me to talk trucks? There we go. See? Behind, he knew. Only I talk trucks.
I mean,
that's how you get the numbers up,
when
baby.
You got that sexy pose
That's right.
You
The one
gotta give the ladies what you like.
So what Govier edited out underneath this pic, if you're looking on YouTube, is my truck was behind it, and he got rid of it, and I was leaning on my truck, celebrating it. And Govier saying we're trying to grow the audience. Yeah, no guff. All right, 504. Okay, people like truck talk, Wander Franco talk. We want to know what's going on with Trevor Bauer, Julio Urias. People care. Okay.
Oh no.
Anyway, all right. I'm going to officially end it. I thank everyone who's listened. Please rate, review, subscribe. If you're at all interested in doing a hello meet and greet with myself and Govier, we are going to the Tigers-Dodgers game on Saturday at 1:10. Find us on the Twitter, and we can connect. It'd be fun to meet a couple people. I'm looking forward to meeting Govier in person, seeing what his facial hair looks like. Yeah, that's it, Ben. I'm out. 5:05. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone for joining, and make sure you sign up. Click subscribe on the YouTube channel. Let's get that thing up to 850. Let's get it towards 1,000, and come join us on the Palazzo Discord as well. We chat here with lots of questions to ask, and trust me when I say that I may be out of town next weekend, but you can bet once I get back, I'm going to be going all through any of the draft talk and just kind of looking at the chit chat that happened throughout the draft and talking about who went where and why that's a good fit or a bad fit, all that sort of fun stuff. So that's it. That's all. I think we're good to go. All right.
End it.